The average associate earns 7.5k a month. Practice owner take home, NHS private or mixed, is 13k a month. Hitting 15k months puts you above most dentists. Only a small fraction achieve this. It's about 5%. To hit 20k a month, that's 240,000 a year. That's even rarer still. You've officially broken into the 1% of dentistry. But not just that, you are in the top 1% of all earners in the UK. Not bad. By the way, all this data was provided by HMRC. One thing you have to accept is if you want to hit these numbers, you are going to have to become a statistical outlier. So the probability is low. So then the question becomes, what are the top 1% doing that you're probably not? And what actions can we emulate to increase our probability of getting this outcome? Okay, so most dentists rush their consultations. They're trying to get through as quick as possible. They're trying to make sure they stick to their diary. They don't want to go over time, and they're so worried about time management. The top 1%, however, they plan for long consults. This is a system. They take their time with their patients. They give themselves enough time with the patient to give that patient the best experience possible. But not only that, they're allowing a little bit of slack time for a patient who may not understand something. If they're running late, they ensure that they're leaving the patient thinking that they're the only patient in the practice. Most dentists explain their diagnosis or their treatments in the exact same cookie cutter way that they do for every single patient. Whereas the top 1%, they personality type the patient within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the consult. They are able to modulate to the patient in front of them, ensuring that that patient is being spoken to in the exact way that they want to be spoken to, but also in the exact way that they understand. So it helps rapport, understanding, and trust, which brings me to my next one. The top 1% dentist values trust and experience over everything. They will happily have a treatment plan that is not accepted, but ensure that that patient has had a great experience with them and also trust them deeply. And I know quite a few dentists in the top 1%, and they all do this. In their head all the time, is this patient having the best experience that they've ever had at a dental practice with me today? And am I ensuring that this patient trusts me more than any other dentist that they've ever visited or will visit? Whereas most dentists are actually just looking for the patient to agree with their view of things and what they're saying, and ultimately for them to accept treatment. And I'm telling you, this is the wrong way to go about it. So these last three are really important. Most dentists wing it, so they shoot from the hip every time they see a new patient. Not much is planned apart from certain scripts that they have in their head. They're pretty fearful. They're fearful of litigation. They're worried about making mistakes and doing the wrong thing. And when it comes to their own income and money, they hold it tight and they don't want to let it go. And they are saving, and will only spend on their lifestyle. They get complacent. So as long as the job is done and there are no complaints, and they've got through the day and they've got a patient to convert, that's pretty much all they care about. Then that's a job well done. And no, I'm not saying all of you are like this. And sometimes you could be having a bad day, and then what happens is you fall to the level of your systems that you have in place, which is important because the top 1%, they systemize, where even on their worst day, they can perform beautifully and excellently because they have so many reps within a certain system that gives them a perfect structure for delivering a fantastic experience. And if you ever look at hotels, they're the best example in the world of perfectly systemized and executed customer service. And that's what a top 1%er does. And a big one, they invest in their personal development. They're not worried about the price of something, they're worried about the value of the thing. They're worried about what they get out of it that they can then implement into their practice. Because it's no good being cheap and then acting cheap too. It's better to be abundant and be a person of high agency, where you act on the new information that you've been given. And that's really what intelligence is, how quickly you act to new information. Top 1%, rapid. There's a reason a lot of the top 1% are type A personalities. It's very obvious in their demeanor, but also their diligence. They are obsessed. They are obsessed with the patient experience. They don't just settle for one patient getting the experience. They want referrals. The only way you can get referrals is to constantly iterate and improve on the experience that you're giving a patient. It's to get feedback from patients, honest feedback from patients, honest feedback from people who specialize in this type of thing. How can you be a top 1%er if you don't act like one? And you won't know how to act like one, you won't know their behaviors if you're not someone who regularly deals with the 1% dentists in this country. So in summary, if you want to hit the top 1% and be earning 20K a month, you need to do all these things and remember to systemize, invest, and be obsessed. And sign up for the Patient Journey course because we've actually made some 1%ers and I'm hoping the next one could be you. See ya.